Hello and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm, where I try and figure out how to live sustainably on 300 square metres in the city. Today is another one in my tips and tricks series, and I thought this time I would talk a little bit about proportions and how I made my own croquis or my own fashion figures, and how I worked out what clothes looked good on my body shape. Firstly, I analysed the clothes that, through my life of wearing clothes, the ones that I've really enjoyed wearing and the ones that have made me feel good. And then I've also thought about the clothes that I never got on with and I always felt bad, and every time I put them on I thought, it should look good, but it just doesn't. I decided I needed to use a sort of a croquis, fashion figures, so that I could draw out different things on the croquis and work out what looked good. But of course, the croquis are nothing like me. The fashion figures that you see the designers use and the ones on the internet, they're either 9 or 10 head croquis, I think they call them. They're incredibly tall. The proportions are very strange. They're not even like normal human beings or even runway models or anybody. They're quite sort of alien like. So they weren't much use to me figuring out what suited me. So I decided I needed to make croquis that were me, so that I could draw clothing on that croquis and see what worked, what proportions worked, where the lines looked best on my body shape. And I am not an artist. I'm not a brilliant artist. I can't draw things very well at all. And so I thought, well, how can I do a bit of a workaround? How could I do a hack? Sort of use technology and creativity, if you like, to come up with a solution to this problem. So I thought I'd start just sharing how I did it, and then I will maybe do a bit of a demonstration if I can sort of do it again. I'll try that. Anyway, what I did was I figured that if I took photographs of me and then applied one of these special drawing filter apps, it could turn a photograph of me into a line drawing, which is obviously what I wanted. So the way I did it was that I enlisted my husband's help, and we spent an afternoon of hilarity with me in my underwear trying to strike sort of model-esque poses while he photographed me. We took lots and lots and lots of photos, and it did work. It was, in the end, it did have the outcome that I wanted. We took these photographs on my phone. I ran them through this app. I got all these line drawings of the poses that I had selected, which was great. But then there was a little moment when my heart stopped because it then asked me if I wanted to share them to Facebook. Of course, I did not want to share them to Facebook, but it was a bit of a heart-stopping moment. So I would recommend that if you do this yourself, that you maybe put your phone on flight mode so that there is no danger of you accidentally sharing your photos to Facebook, and unless you want to, of course. Anyway, once we had very, very carefully said, no, I don't want to share it to Facebook, then essentially I saved those images on my phone, and then I deleted the app off my phone. So then I had the images, which were line drawings of my figure, and then I printed them out onto paper, and then I had a hard copy of my images, you see, which was perfect, because then I could just slide them under a piece of tracing paper or a bit of thin paper and draw around the shapes and make a sort of a croquis of my body. Okay, so if you were going to do this yourself, what I would recommend is that you get a friend or a partner to take photographs of you. What they want to do is stand straight onto you and try and take a photograph sort of at the height of maybe your belly button, you know, like sort of halfway up you. So you're sort of full flat. The image is here full flat, if you like. Then obviously take lots of photographs. The other thing that I would recommend is that you take the photographs in the underwear that you would wear under your clothes. The other thing, which is a little weird, but having done it, I would recommend, is to actually get some sticky dots and put some sticky dots on where your nipples are. Excuse me if that offends anybody. I could call it the, is it the bust apex? Could be. Anyway, where your nipples are, stick some dots on there. The other place would be your hip bones. I would put a sticky dot on each of your hip bones because later on, it's quite useful to be able to pinpoint those places. The other thing is I would suggest you wear the shoes that you normally wear with your clothes. I wear flat shoes, so I just did it barefoot. One other tip I would give you is when you're doing the photographs, try and do it in front of a neutral background. So if you've got a white wall or any sort of blank neutral background. And then what you want to do is you want to go onto your phone apps and find a line drawing app, a sort of a photograph to line drawing filter art app. There's loads and loads of them out there, free ones, highly rated free ones. You know, just find something or a couple of them that will work for you. So download a few of them and then maybe give them a bit of a whirl so you know how they work with some random photo in your gallery, just so you can see how it works. So I did try and do a little bit of a demo before I started filming this bit of video. And the app that I downloaded, I noticed that I couldn't actually save the image because it wanted to save it onto the internet. So what I actually did was took a screenshot of the line drawing. And then of course you're not going to save it anywhere you don't want to save it. Once I had the images, I could just upload it to my computer. And of course you then want to put that image just on some sort of page, whether that's in, I don't know, like Word or PowerPoint or whatever you've got. You can just put that image on the page, and then of course you can size that image to make the best use of maybe an A4 piece of paper and then print it out. So it's a decent size once you get your pencil drawing image that you can then trace over to put the key lines on to make the diagram, the croquis diagram. What you want to indicate is the center line down your body. You want your hip line, your waistline, and your bust line. I also like to put in my collarbone. I thought that was really quite helpful. I added in sort of where my knees were, those types of things. But you really don't need a lot of detail on things like hands or feet. As you can see from the drawings that I've done, I mean, I've literally just sort of done an angled sort of drawing, like it's almost like a paddle where my feet and my hands are, because it doesn't really matter if you've got some sort of perfectly anatomical drawing of your hands. And that's another point. These croquis do not need to be anatomically correct. You do not need every bulge, roll and dimple. You just need to smooth out the general proportions of your body. So what you want is just a nice smooth curve. What's important is the proportion. So the width of your hips, the width of your shoulder, you know, the difference between your waist and your hip line, the length of your legs, you know, the size of your arms, the width of your legs, you know, those are the things that you're trying to capture. It doesn't need to be a sort of a work of art and anatomically correct. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're literally trying to create a diagram. If you've got at the end a diagram of your body with your key dimensions and proportions on that diagram, then that's a win. So hopefully you can see from the croquis that I've done, and also from the fashion figure that I showed earlier, the types of information you need on that croquis. It's not a lot. It's a very useful tool to have, to be honest, and I use it a lot because it really helps to work out what I'm going to make and how it's going to look when it's finished. If I put a hemline here, or if I finish this jacket here, what is it going to look like on my body? And if I raise that and put it a little higher, or if I take it a bit lower, how is that going to change the proportions of the outfit, and what is going to look better on me? I'm trying to figure out in a low risk way, before I start cutting out fabric and putting all that time and effort into making that garment, I'm trying to figure out what it's going to look like and is it going to flatter me. Now, if you're a brilliant technical person, you could probably do the whole thing in a computer. That's way beyond my skill level, but yeah, I mean, that might be an option for you if you are very good with some sort of graphic software. But for me, it was so much easier just to print it out and then use pen and paper, and that's how I do it now. When I'm doing a drawing, I just get a pencil and I put a piece of paper over my croquis drawing, and I just draw over the top of the croquis, drawing the outfit that I'm trying to draw, the arms, the legs, and bits and pieces onto that drawing, so that when I take it away, take my croquis out from underneath, I've got a drawing, pretty poor drawing, but it's a drawing of the outfit that I'm thinking of. And of course, the important bit is how the proportions sit, how my body would look in those clothes, if you like. Anyway, I've got a little bit of a snippet where I tried to follow through the process to show you how I did it. Basically, the first thing you want to do is turn it on to flight mode. Turn on flight mode. Okay. Anyway, so first of all, I just opened the app. It's going to just take a while to load. And then it essentially asked me, do I want to take a photograph or go to the gallery? Now, I took the photographs beforehand, so I just went to the gallery. Now, of course, I'm not going to put a picture of myself standing in my underwear. So I found a lovely picture on the internet of Halle Berry in a bikini from a James Bond movie. So all I need to do now is click that little tick mark and it will convert it to a pencil drawing. Now I can choose different pencil drawings, and that one doesn't have as much information as I would like. So I could also go for that one because it shows sort of the collarbones and there's a little bit more detail. But you can really choose, depending on which app you've gone with, you can choose whatever pencil sketch is going to work for you. Now I've just picked any sort of photo filter drawing editor thing off the App Store. This one came down and I could work with it quite simply. I'm not recommending it. I've only used it for about 2 seconds just to show you how I did it essentially. Sketch applied, continue. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. You don't really need to do that. And here, don't put it to Facebook. You can if you want, but you know, for myself, no. You then essentially are just going to save it. This particular app doesn't want to allow me to save that. It obviously is going to save it onto the internet. But of course, what I can do is just take a screenshot with my phone and I have that image anyway. And then I have it in my gallery and I can print it out. I can do whatever I like with it. Okay, so we now have our printed out line drawing of Halle Berry. So I have a piece of tracing paper just to pop over the top. Now unfortunately this image of Halle didn't have feet on it, but we'll just ignore that. You'll get the general idea of how I did this just by without the feet. So it might pay just to tape the tracing paper on just so it's not going to move about. So it's really now quite a simple matter of drawing around the outside of what we already have presented here. So we've got a shoulder there and her arm. And as I say, on the fingers here, I wouldn't spend a lot of time, like literally we're looking at sort of paddles basically, just to give an indication of her hand. Now I can see about here she's got her elbow creases there. We can follow down here, just ignore her belt, and again just a smooth curve. We don't need all the anatomical detail, just a smooth curve. Again, with her head, I don't bother with the ears. Why would you bother with the ears? You don't need the ears, I don't think. So essentially we're just making an oval around her head. We're going to mark where the eyes are. And we're also going to put a center line in, which is basically going to come through her nose. Again, we've got the shoulders. Now the other thing is here is you can see her shoulder blades coming in here. So this shoulder blade is essentially going to come into there, and I think that's quite a useful piece to add on. So we can see where her bust is here. So we can just literally draw that in, like that. We can see the edge of her body there. Ignoring the knife, we don't need the knife. And again, down we come to here. And here, you can see the line of her bikini, so you really want to just mimic that in too. That's really quite useful. It's sort of like the leg crease, if you like. I can see her knee is about there, and then the legs coming down there. Okay, what else do we need? The belly button through the middle. I literally just do a line like that. And then what we want to do is we want to draw a center line through the body. So we're going part way through the neck, through the middle of the collarbones, through the middle of the boobs, down through the middle of the belly button, and then down to her crotch. And the other key thing, which is why I said about the stickers, is we're going to have to sort of guess here where her nipples are. I don't know, I'm guessing there. But the key thing here is we want to be drawing in this line which is the bust line. Okay? And again, why I think the sticky dots are useful is we're going to have to guess on her hips here. I'm not really sure where her hips would be. Maybe there, just for the sake of argument. So if we drew in her hip line here, and then waistline, that's generally a little bit above the belly button, and you can see it comes in there. So I would suggest it starts there, probably comes through there. So that is probably her waist measurement there. Okay, we can take this off the tracing paper now and see what we've got. So what we've got now is more of a croquis. Okay, so we've got some of those key pieces of information in. Now the other thing you want to draw in is sort of like the princess line seams. So for me, it's sort of, I think this is the shoulder blade coming in here, and I think it's just a little bit in from the shoulder blade. So a little bit in from the shoulder blade either side, and on the waist measurement, maybe you're sort of going a little bit either side, maybe halving that space you've got. And of course you want to take it from the shoulder through the bust apex and then onto the waist, and again on this side through the bust apex and then onto the waist. And then you're going to come down again onto your hip line, which we've decided is here. So I think we're sort of again halving the sort of the spaces here. So then we're bringing that down to here. And you can take that through to the leg line. So this is pretty much it. We have created a croquis of Halle Berry from just that photograph, running it through a line drawing sort of app type software thing, and then just drawing over the top really simply. So you can see, I'm going to put myself next to Halle Berry. That's not a great idea, is it? But hopefully you can see now how, like, the information that I have on mine is now drawn on Halle Berry as well. Obviously her body looks a little bit different than mine, but then again, she is obviously a film star, and I am not. So we're going to finish with Halle now, because you've seen the process of turning a photograph of her in her bikini into a croquis of her body, a body diagram, if you like, of her body. We're now going to go back to my body because I know that a little bit better for the next steps. Okay, so this is a croquis of my body, and I have a whole range of these croquis. So I've got this one, I've got some straight on versions. I've got one looking straight on at the side. I have one looking straight on at the back. So those three are just straight views, which are quite useful. I then have some sort of various model-esque type poses, if you like. And these ones are quite nice because you get a nice sort of look for the clothes when you're sort of drawing them on the images. I have my superwoman pose. That was one I saw in some magazines, and I thought, oh, that might be quite useful if I'm trying to get some detail that I don't want the arms and legs to interfere with. Again, I have another relaxed sort of pose, and then I have a relaxed pose, sort of model-esque pose from the rear as well. So those are the poses that I created with my photographs in the first place, and then I drew croquis for all of them. I used tracing paper when I first did the croquis off the photograph, and then I transferred it onto this paper, and then I could do a nice thick black line around the outside, which means that it's very easy to use because I can just pop it under this paper, this thin 75 GSM paper, and I can actually see that through the paper. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, so I can see that through the paper really clearly. So it's very easy at this point for me to just draw the clothes onto this croquis. I don't need to draw the croquis again, I just draw the clothes essentially. So once you've got your croquis, the key piece about the croquis is that it's very useful to see your proportions. I can start to work out what looks good and what doesn't look good on my body just by drawing it, really. So I'm going to show you the outfit that is the worst thing I can possibly imagine on my body shape. I drew this up last night, and it is so horrifying that I actually am a bit nervous about showing it to you. This is me in the standard New Zealand uniform, probably the uniform everywhere. It's really not a good look on me. Okay, so I'm going to show you another outfit. This outfit of me, and I can probably even put them side by side actually. Hopefully you can see the two of them side by side. This is me in the horror outfit, which I would never wear. And this is me in an outfit that I have drawn, and I would be something that I would wear, and I think is quite flattering to my body type. And you can, I can see the difference. Hopefully you can. This almost looks like a completely different person, like a completely different croquis. But it is actually exactly the same croquis. I don't know if you can see it, but it's that croquis there. I used this croquis underneath these two outfits. So it's exactly the same body shape that I have traced this on, exactly the same proportions. However, this one, what's wrong with this? Well, there's so much wrong with this. Having done this, this whole exercise, I know that I have a long torso. Wearing leggings it's just awful on me, but you can clearly see where my crotch is, you can see the length of my legs, and of course you can see my wide hips. So it's a really unflattering look on me. And to top it all off, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing is basically stopping right at my widest point, and this band, this horizontal line across my hips, is really accentuating the width of my hips. The other thing, this round neck is really not flattering, and again it's making this huge great mass on the top because I have a long torso and this is a really baggy top, so it's making a big mass on the top, and then on the bottom I've got these short, quite wide legs. If you look at this image, what I've done here is exactly the same croquis, remember? But I have a neckline that is basically using a vertical line. So that is drawing the eye down, which is making me appear taller. A collar, again, increases the height of a person. So that is basically making me look taller and slimmer. It's accentuating my waist. It's bringing in my waist here, and it's giving a waistline. That seam line there is really indicating my waist, which is pulling everything in to this being the focus. It comes out here, and these pockets are sitting on my hip line, where my hip bone's is not particularly wide. I carry my weight down here. But because this is a nice A-line skirt, nobody knows what's going on under here. It just looks like it's the style of the skirt. So it gives a top half that's quite neat looking and quite slim looking and quite defined. It's structured, so you've got the sort of the horizontal of the shoulders, bringing that across line, which is making my shoulders look wider. It's balancing my hips. And all in all, it's a much more attractive and flattering shape than this one. I wear hats quite often when I'm out, and the reason is because the hat again makes me appear taller. I'm only 5'2½", and so having a hat just gives me that extra height and a little bit more interest right at the top of my head. So you know, your eye is drawn to the hat, the vertical line, and it makes you look taller and slimmer. This one, I've just got a big mass on the top, and then I've got these short curvy legs on the bottom. Obviously this is cutting off at ankle length, which is also making my legs look even shorter. Now I can hear you say, yes, but this is quite formal. It's a jacket and it's a skirt and it's a more formal outfit, and this is a very relaxed sort of weekend casual outfit. And true. So what I did was I did another casual outfit, exactly the same croquis, but this person over here looks much slimmer and taller than this person, and that's because I've used the same tricks again. I have got a nice wide neckline over here. This is, I'm imagining, like a soft t-shirt material. So I've got a nice wide boat neck on that, increasing the width of my shoulders. I then got some nice vertical lines that are coming down my body, which is again making me look taller. I've got some loose fitting palazzo style pants, very relaxed, possibly in a jersey or whatever, I'm not sure. But what you can't clearly identify there is where my crotch is. These trousers just float on by. So it makes my legs look an awful lot taller than they do here, even though it's just coming to the same point. It's just coming to my ankle level. It's the same point here, but my legs look a lot longer. There is no horizontal band cutting me off here. I'll often get a horizontal line going on my shoulders to make them appear wider, to balance my hips, and I also put a horizontal line at my waist to highlight the slimness of my waist. As soon as we get down to the hip area, I just want to run vertical lines, nice slimming vertical lines, and sort of fabric that just grazes over that area. So you don't know whether it's the fabric billowing out or, you know, whether it's my body. Whereas here, it's a too much information situation here, because basically my entire lower half is not my best feature, is skin tight and displayed to the world. So all of the proportions are right there for all to see. And then I've got a big baggy sweatshirt on the top, covering up all my more petite and slim parts of my body. So to turn that around, to do something like this, will accentuate the top half. The detail and the interest is up here. And then by the time we get to the bottom, we're just basically swooping and flowing, and there's lots of fabric just sort of drifting around, quite floaty. So this outfit will be easily as comfortable as that outfit will be. But in this outfit, I will feel comfortable in my skin, and I would be quite happy to walk outside in it. This one, I would not leave the house. In fact, I would feel really uncomfortable even just wearing this at my house. So, as you can see, once you've got your croquis, you can try out these things. You can try out that, and then you can go, ooh, that's not very good. And you can then work out something else. So it's really about understanding the proportions of your body, what you want to skim over and camouflage, and what you want to accentuate. Which bits are you going to fit and which bits are you going to glide over? Where do you want your lines? The horizontal lines should be where you want to emphasize the width of something, and the vertical line should be where you want to minimize the width of something and focus on the height. I start to get an idea for what lines and shapes and proportions look good on my body and what lines, proportions and shapes don't look good on my body. It is really, really simple. So let's try one on camera. I think I've got one more piece of paper here. I'm really running low on here, but anyway, let's try. Okay, so I put my croquis under the page. Let's start off with the head. So with the eyes, they run on this line here. So essentially I just put a squiggle there and a squiggle there. The mouth is halfway down here, so a squiggle like that as well. I'm going to put a hat on here. So I like a hat. So basically I just rub off the top portion of the head, put a line across, and then I do a scribble. Right, hat done. Okay, so now we come on to this body. I've got shoulders, I've got arms. Okay, so what am I thinking of drawing here? Well, I thought I might use the princess lines of this and do a dress with a sort of an off-shoulder piece. So this is my bust here. And the collarbones and my top half are a good feature on me. And a wide neckline works really nicely. So what I was thinking was I could do like a really wide neckline. Something like that, and then use these princess seams down here. I thought maybe what I could do is it could be like a little dress that comes in here and then comes down on these princess seams. Now I think what I want is, I would like some sort of A-line skirt, something floaty. So I'm just going to bring it down here, probably to about my knee. It's really a good sort of size for me, so I'll do a little wiggle there. And then again, we take this shape here and bring it down. So that's the wiggly dress. We can put our legs in now. And then I think we'll take this will also come down. Okay, so we've got this here. What I think would be nice would be to take this up and use that as a strap coming through there. Yeah, I think that might be quite nice. So if we take this out here, what I've got here now is a sort of an off-the-shoulder type of piece that's going to give me the width. And this should be in a light colour because it's accentuating the slimness. What I would do is actually make this a dark colour. Okay, there you go, 2-minute dress. This is an idea that I've got using the princess seam lines. Oh, I didn't put my collarbones on. Let's have the collarbones in there. You see, so you can always pop it back in again and add more detail. I forgot my collarbones. Okay. It's accentuated the width of my shoulders. It has highlighted the detail up here on my shoulders, which is one of my good features. It's sort of slim. I have quite a long neck, so that's quite attractive. It's showcasing my shape, and then where it comes down to my hips, it's skimming over and you really don't see that detail. The design of playing with that color blocking is now increasing that vertical, so again I'm going to look taller, and with the addition of a hat, I'm going to look taller again. So that's just a quick demonstration really of how simple it was to do a drawing and a design on my croquis. Once you have a croquis, you can knock up with very limited drawing skills, believe you me, you can knock up something that is going to give you some ideas. I'm quite pleased with that drawing. And how long did it take me? Heavens, what, couple of minutes? Couple of minutes to come up with something that I think, yep, I could probably make something along those lines that I think would be quite flattering on my body shape. So I hope that's been helpful and that you can see how you can create a croquis that is you. It has your proportions. It is you. You can draw clothing and designs on your body, and it can give you a little bit of an idea of what's going to look good and what maybe wouldn't look quite as good. And you can do all of that without any artistic skill whatsoever, as hopefully I have proven. I do hope you give this a go because I found it incredibly useful. Even just the process of doing it, to be honest, was so helpful in understanding the shapes of my body and how things would look on my body, where I wanted things to stop, where I wanted to emphasize, where I wanted to camouflage slightly. That was really useful. Anyway, the next video, I'm not quite sure what the next video is going to be about. Maybe we'll look at colour next time. That could be useful. Maybe colour. Okay, I will see you next time. Bye.